How punched card programs work. University of West Georgia Websites for Historians, Spring 2013. As far back as 1801, Joseph-Marie Jacquard demonstrated a way to control how repeating patterns could be woven into fabric without a second operator raising individual threads on the loom. Heavy cardstock or very thin metal could be perforated with each row of punches or holes corresponding to one row of the design. Multiple rows of holes were punched on each card, and the cards strung together in order to create a repeat design. Jacquard based his system on earlier inventions by Frenchmen as early as 1725. Jacquard's head can be used to adapt many Dobby loom brands to create characteristically intricate and textured patterns seen in jacquard weaving. Woven in silk on a jacquard loom in 1839, this image of Joseph-Marie Jacquard required 24,000 punched cards and a special order. It reputedly inspired Charles Babbage to adopt punched cards to control his analytical engine, which he never actually completed. Babbage's number cards pushed forward levers corresponding to the intact areas on the cards, while the perforations did not move the levers. The levers transferred numbers to the calculating engine's store. However, his design prevented Hollerith's company from claiming patent rights on storing data on punched cards. A sketch of Korsakoff's punched card. He may have been the first to store or search for information as early as 1832, but chose to market machines rather than apply for a patent. Herman Hollerith developed punched card data processing in order to produce the 1890 U.S. Census and received a series of patents in 1889 for mechanical tabulating machines, some using rectangular hole cards. Hollerith explained that cards had holes around the edges with the center for written descriptions. Railroad conductors were able to punch the edges and encode a brief description of the ticket holder. Later he developed a keyboard punch that could also create a template, eliminating printing the template on cards. These cards could be read manually. His original system had groups of holes with specific meanings, but still relied on mechanical devices and rotating dials to count up to 10,000. In 1896, 4 companies, including Hollerith's Tabulating Machine Company, merged to form Computing Tabulating Record Company, CTR, that later was renamed International Business Machines, IBM. IBM manufactured and marketed unit record machines for creating, sorting, and tabulating punched cards, and expanded into electronic computers in the late 1950s. The IBM card and unit record machine predominated in government and industry. The significance to popular culture after World War II is demonstrated by the appropriating of the legend that appears on the top of the cards, lampooning society's conformity to the norms of big business. A damaged check would not pass through a card sorter and so could not be cashed. The standard 80-column punch card came to be called an IBM card, no matter which company produced them, in the same way that paper tissues were called Kleenex, although other companies produced them. In the 1930s, round punches in cards were superseded by rectangular punches. Double the quantity of data could be recorded on each card. In the mid-1950s, sales cards contributed 30% to IBM's. How the card sorting mechanism worked. A circuit was completed between a card reader or brush and a roller as the perforated card advanced into the electronic sorting machine, activating magnetic coils, forcing the card to a chute to a corresponding pocket. Misread or damaged cards would be isolated. The sorting process had to be repeated for alphabetic information, since 2 holes were required in a single column. Individual magnetic coils can be turned off to disregard unwanted data. Round punch cards were still used by large retail operations, government and military operations into the 1960s and have survived into the 1990s, but limited to toll tickets on freeways. The use of card formats with more rows and columns allowed more data to be stored, including alphanumeric personal and locality information. Cards could be truncated, a part torn off, with different sections for different purposes, such as receipts, indicating that they were in general use rather than being restricted to clerical specialists. When the corner of the card was removed, a specific function could be indicated. No electronic equipment was in use at the time. An assembler directly punched the object code onto another set of cards holding the source code. Marked sense cards had printed ovals that could be marked with an electrographic pen, then additional information such as inventory information added. Aperture cards with a 35mm microform image mounted in a window were developed for engineering drawings, which had advantages for archival purposes. Binary formats were developed in which every punch represented a single binary digit or bit, and every combination of holes were permitted. Pranksters could produce lace cards with every possible position punched so that they buckled and jammed the machine. Binary code would be significant to the future of computer technology. With advances in technology over time, large-scale processing operations were shifting to time-sharing environments with data stored on magnetic tape or disks. In 1944, the Harvard Mark I, the first electromechanical computer, 51 feet long, 8 feet high, and weighing 5 tons, was built. Instead of punched cards, its switches, relays, and clutches were controlled by magnetic tape. The technology that ran the Mark I meant the beginning of the end for punched cards. In the age of tablets and mobile phones, the survival of punch card technology is surprising. One of the last refuges punch card technology has been in elections. The Hanging Chads drama in the contested 2000 elections centered on damaged pre-scored cards. Most companies providing means of machine balloting had, by the 1990s, moved to marked sense or direct recording electronic voting machines, but they are still in use in sparsely populated areas in Idaho and New Hampshire. Occasionally, one finds a relic of the days of punch card printing plates with pencil holders made by nostalgic IBMers.